minkä päällä lakukastike maistuu parhaalta? Ei voi tietää, ellei kokeile. Kouvolan lakritsi.
Hello and welcome to our coverage of the ECL Elite Division live here on twitch.tv/SportsGamer.gg. My name is Brandon B-Mage Bigsby. Thank you all for joining us once again today. We had some really fun action here in the Elite Division on Monday. And ladies and gentlemen, if you chose to come back here today on Wednesday, let me commend you for a great decision. We have two really fun series on tap, starting out with the #1 team in the Elite Division in Mythix, facing off against one of the newer teams, the last team to qualify for the Elite Division in ONSE Esports. And in our second series, folks, one of the most anticipated series in the regular season that I think that you will have on the calendar, Parasite, the defending champions, going up against Last Dance, the team that's just a couple of points behind Mythix in that #2 spot. And then obviously one of the bigger stories, Nicky Dangles facing off against his former team in Parasite for the first time. It is going to be a lot of fun. So many storylines to get into. We will obviously talk more about that Parasite versus Last Dance story / series a little bit more as the broadcast goes on. But first, we want to focus on the two teams that you see on the bottom of your screen, Mythix versus ONSE Esports, two teams that have been heading in different directions over the last couple of weeks. Take a quick look at the standings, kind of show you where things shape out as we head into today. We had a few results come in after our broadcast Monday. We had a lot of teams actually play yesterday when we were not on broadcast. But as you can see, the more things change, the more things stay the same. Mythix holding on to that #1 spot. Them and Last Dance actually played each other on Monday, with Last Dance taking all 6 points in those games, winning both of those 2 games in regulation. So despite that, still down by a couple of points, but they have 2 games in hand. We'll see if maybe that #1 spot changes hands today, depending on how these 2 series go. And again, as we mentioned, a little bit of shifting in the standings since the last time we were here. Musta Kulta moving all the way up to the #3 spot. Last time we saw them, they were down at like 7 or 8. They pick up a few wins. They're starting to find their way after a slow 3 or 4 games to start out the season. You see Goons and two teams that we saw on Monday. They're in the playoffs. SSK Esports shocking the Elite Division. I don't think anyone thought that halfway through the season they would be sitting at a playoff spot, yet here they are holding on that #7 spot rather strongly. While over on the right side of the board, you see some names that maybe would surprise you. The Blackjacks really struggling, currently in a relegation spot as of now. Exon not in a playoff spot coming into now. Nova sitting in last place. Vapor, a team, they're struggling. A couple of teams that we've seen really establish themselves in the Elite Division over the last couple of seasons, still trying to find their way as of now. So going to be interesting to see how things continue to move forward, as again, we are reaching the halfway point of our regular season here today. Week #3 concluding. You see a few teams already reaching the halfway point of their respective seasons. You'll play 30 total games, with being 15 teams that you play. We've seen 2 teams already go past that halfway threshold, with Goons and SSK playing 16 games. You see a few different teams already at that 14-game mark. So half of the regular season done, and getting closer and closer to that playoff push, everybody. But let's take a closer look at the 2 teams we are featuring here for our first 2 games in Mythix and ONSE Esports. And as you can see, as we mentioned, 2 teams that have been trending in totally different directions. Mythix as dominant as ever, one of the best offenses that you will find in the Elite Division, with that 49 goal tally. If you turn that into an average, so far this season, 3.5 goals for per game. That is tied for the highest mark in the entire Elite Division with Last Dance. While for ONSE Esports, struggling to find their offense, the lowest scoring offense in the league with 1.71 goals for per game. The defense hasn't been too shabby. They're at 2.79, that's tied for 7th, but it's just a team that, again, have not really been able to find their way so far this season. They're going to have to do it against a Mythix team that has been solid as well on the defensive end, 3rd in goals allowed per game. So, and that penalty kill percentage going to be something to look out for too. 40% so far for ONSE Esports. That's one of the lowest marks in the entire league. Actually, I'm doing some checking. That is the lowest mark in the league coming into today. It's going to be interesting. Strength versus weakness on both of these two sides. So we'll see if ONSE can kind of find their groove against a Mythix team that really is clicking on all cylinders right now. Let's meet the starting lineups for both of these two sides. Starting out with Mythix over on the left side, your forward trio at left wing, Tempinen at center, Mythix, and at right wing, Sokelo. While back on defense, it'll be Akunku and Vedux, and in between the pipes and goal, it'll be Takedown. While for ONSE Esports, the left wing, Yusu at center, Puosu, and at right wing, Luce Pro. While back on defense, it'll be UT at left D and Sage at right D, and at goal will be Hoku. Now we'll take you position by position, starting out with the centerman for these two teams. And again, you'll probably see the stats, especially for the forwards, skew more towards the Mythix side of things. However, the face-off percentage really going to be something to look forward to. Puosu, one of the better face-off centermen that you will see in the Elite Division, sporting a 56.2 face-off percentage coming into the day. Absolutely phenomenal. You see the 10 goals as well. Pretty strong for this team. One of the leading players for this team in terms of points, leads this team in goals. So going to be fun to see how he can make an impact. And then obviously Mike, someone that has really come on strong for this Mythix team that has had a lot of changes within their forward group over the offseason. Really has done a good job establishing himself. You see the 11 goals, 14 assists, a very balanced stat line to make up those 25 points. Now for the wingers, they'll be to the left and right of these men in the middle. And again, just the stats being more skewed towards Mythix because of the offensive production. How about Tempinen coming over as a transfer over the offseason? A transfer I think might have been a little bit under the radar. You had the big moves of guys like Nicky Dangles and Ardo. Tempinen, a established, balanced goal scoring and playmaking forward as well. You see the 13 goals and the 20 assists, 33 points for him so far this season. Someone that is able to get himself in opportune areas of the ice to create goal scoring chances, not just for himself, but for his teammates as well. Really has fit in rather seamlessly with this Mythix team. He has been just so impressive to start the season. And then you see Sokelo next to him with just as impressive of a start to the season. He comes in as this team's leader in points with 34, as well as in goals with 20. So both of these guys have been absolutely phenomenal so far to start the season. Well, over on the right side, Yusu and Luke Pro trying to find their rhythm a little bit. You see both of them kind of struggling to get that consistency going. You know, for Luca, he has not played all of the games so far for ONSE Esports, but nevertheless, in the 8 games that he has played, just the 6 points. So not really able to find that offensive punch that maybe he's been looking to provide, but every series, a new opportunity. Two forwards that have the ability to give off that goal scoring ability and that make those points happen. We'll see if they can produce it against a really good team that has, again, proven themselves to be one of the top teams in the division in Mythix. Now back on defense. And defense going to be really key to look out for. We talked about Mythix, the start that they've had to their season, 3rd in the league in goals allowed per game. How about Vedux, by the way, as well, with 25 points, 25 hits compared to just 8 for Akunku. But 11 shots blocked for Akunku, 13 points in his own right, just a little bit under a point per game. 2 defenders that really have shined for this Mythix team so far this season. Well, on the other end, you know, Yuti and Sage, 2 guys, again, still trying to kind of find their rhythm together, trying to make things happen. It's going to be interesting to see if they can slow down the number 1 offense in the league coming into the day. We got to look at ONSE Esports a couple of weeks ago against Blackbirds. I thought this pairing was really impressive, actually, against a Blackbirds team that has a lot of potential, was a team that was projected to maybe be a bit of a sleeper coming into the season as a rookie team. So far, not too shabby, but again, ONSE Esports, since that series, have kind of struggled to find their way and find that consistency series in, series out. They come in on a 2-game losing streak, losing 4 of their last 5. These 2 defensemen going to have to step up and try to help propel their team into a really, really tough series against the number 1 offense in the division. And last but not least, the goaltenders, the starters for these respective sides. Takedown on the left side for Mythix, and then Holku on the right side for ONSE Esports. Takedown, it's easy to kind of forget about the goaltenders a little bit when you have a team that's so offensively driven. They have good defense in front of them as well. Takedown has been really good this season, an 82.2 save percentage. It has started all 14 games for this Mythix team. Someone that, maybe has not gotten his total due. In my opinion, he's really come on strong this season. One of the statistical leaders so far out of the goaltenders. So Takedown, put some respect on his name. He has been very good throughout this season. Going to be a lot of fun to see him in action on broadcast for the first time. And then you have Holku on the other end. Again, remember, ONSE Esports kind of had to make a last-second switch. They lost their original starting goaltender, and Laku made the change from ONSE Esports over to Blackbirds after week 1. They bring in Holku, who is a solid goalie. The numbers maybe not blowing you away, but someone that played with this team for multiple seasons when they were under the Isman Valenta name, played with them all the way going back to the ECL 23 spring season when they were in the core division. So he's been with this group for a long time, was with them in the move up to pro, has been a rather solid goalie in the past, so we'll see if he can continue to kind of work his way into the elite division. It's a big jump, especially when you didn't expect to maybe have to play as much. Going to be fun to see if he can continue to grow and what he'll be able to do against, again, what has been one of the better offenses that we've seen in the top division in the ECL this season. As we are just a few minutes away from getting things underway, but before we get things underway for our first of 4 games, we want to make sure to give a quick shout to our ECL 25 Spring 1v1 as the sign-ups are out and are now underway. You can sign up now and compete for the European Championship and a piece of the €1,500 prize pool. And if you're looking for something a little bit less competitive, no worries, we've got your back on that as well. You can join the 1v1 chill tournament instead, where you can compete in a more relaxed environment against players of a slightly less competitive mindset. There's no prize pool here, just good vibes and a fun competition. So if you want to learn more, if you want to sign up, make sure you go to sportsgamer.gg. We'll have all of the information you need there, as well as the sign up for you to compete in either our competitive or our chill 1v1 sign-ups. As you can see, both teams getting ready to go in the lobby and loading up. Got a quick look at some of the builds there, but this is going to be a fun series. Again, Mythic's a team that I think have really kind of surprised a lot of people in terms of how dominant they've been. They've been a playoff team the last couple of seasons, but typically a team that's around that 5 to 6 seed, not a team that people come in and think of being a championship contender. So far, they've looked like one of the most consistent teams in the division, while for ONSE Esports, qualified their way into the elite division just the week before the season started. Were formerly Isman Valenta, as we mentioned, were going to be a pro division team not too long ago, but fought their way into the elite division, and they're trying to make a name for themselves. We will be watching from the perspective of ONSE Esports in their white roads, while on the opposite side, we'll be watching from the perspective of Mythix in their white roads, my apologies, while ONSE Esports in their baby blue home uniforms, as we are underway for game number 1 of our 4-game featured broadcast coverage here today. This is Sakalo getting it back to the defense as Akunku will move it up. Akunku over to Tempin for Mythix in the offensive end. Trying to work it around, but nothing available to them. ONSE Esports seeing a turnover, but Mythix getting it back. As a delayed penalty going to be called, Mythix will go on the power play for the first time, and as we mentioned in the open, a strong Mythix power play versus the lowest ranked penalty kill in the division. Mythix on the power play so far this season, leading the league at 45.5%. ONSE Esports last in penalty kill at 40%. So the strongest power play versus the weakest penalty kill. Strength versus weakness. We'll see what prevails here. Face off to the right of Holku. One back by ONSE Esports, and they'll be able to clear it out. A nice start to this kill here for ONSE. Mythix looking to break it in. Tapping in with it. Gives it back to Mythix, trying to feed it to Sokoro, but not able to do so cleanly, and cleared out by ONSE Esports rather easily. Halfway through this Mythix power play. Not much available to them so far. Mythix looking, trying to look for a pass, but poke checked away and forced to reset. 25 seconds now, on-demand advantage. Sakelo gives it over to Mythix, trying to find Sakelo again, but could not do so. And ONSE Esports able to clear it out, and that will do it for the Mythix power play. Not even a shot on net for the #1 power play in the division against the last ranked penalty kill in the division. So ONSE Esports with the better of them on that one. Mythix still trying to work in the offensive zone as it finds Holku, and he'll hold on for the freeze. An offensive face-off now coming up here for Mythix. See a big hit there on the boards. That was Yuti for ONSE Esports that laid the lumber on that one. Tempin and taking the brunt of that hit. Offensive zone face-off, tied up. Battled for, but won by ONSE Esports in the defensive zone. Doing a good job so far of denying this Mythix team. Turned over, however, on the counter-attack, and here come Mythix. Mythix had it. Bumped away from that puck, and now here come ONSE down the other end. Yuti controlling it. Trying to find some space, but nothing available to him, and Mythix now counter-attacking with speed. Mythix gave it up to the left boards, but it's turned over. Found by Mythix once again at the point. Bumped off of that puck, but a penalty going to be called, and another power play coming up for Mythix. A charging call. Going to go against Yusu. Leading point getter for this team. Going to have to sit down for at least 2 minutes. Mythix now with another power play opportunity after what was a pretty lethargic man advantage the first time around. Face off to the left of Holku. One back by Mythix. Yellow giving it up. Shot in front. Save made. And another penalty going to be called. This time a tripping call going against ONSE Esports. Sage will head to the box. And it's going to be a 5-on-3 upcoming here for Mythix. And a lot of time on it here as well. So the left winger and the right defender for ONSE Esports. First Yusu, now Sage, both in the sin bin, and a minute and 48 second 5-on-3 power play now for Mythix. Can they capitalize? Mythix to Tempin into Kunku, now to Mythix. A quick cycle here for Mythix. Still looking for their first shot on the power play since that last one, and again, not able to find much as Puosu able to clear it out. ONSE Esports halfway through this kill. Mythix with it. Back to Mythix, now to Akunku, trying to pass it back over to Mythix at the right post, but ONSE Esports once again clear it out cleanly. A nice penalty kill for ONSE. Gallo at the right side, shot on, save made by Holku. As Yusu makes his way out of the box, so a 5-on-4 power play for the next 6 seconds for Mythix. Impressive stuff on the penalty kill so far for ONSE Esports. Don't take many penalties, but when they have, they've struggled to kill them, as that'll do it for the Mythix man advantage. Just a pair of shots on that 5-on-3, no goals to show for it. Working in the offensive zone, however, is a shot on. Beautiful save there by Holku. Here comes ONSE Esports down the other end. Luca moving up the board. Shot on, the one-timer goes wide. ONSE still pressing. Poke checked in front and picked up by Tempin here for Mythix. Moving down the left boards with speed. Goes back to Mythix. Trying to work his way past the defender. Gives it up to the point to Mythix. Turned over on the pass attempt. Nothing there. Mythix at the left boards, holding, looking, trying to find something now at the point. Skates back forward and goes back to Akunku, gets it back. Back to Mythix. Checked away but recovers it. Behind the net. Mythix now to Sakello. A nice cycle for Mythix, but no shots available to them. ONSE Esports doing a great job just eating up space, but they turn it over in their own end. Shot on, saved by Holku. Full pressure now for Mythix. Mythix to Akunku. Trying to move it to the slot, but DK's not able to get to that, and ONSE Esports take possession, trying to slow things down as that was a big hit taken by Yusu. Looks like he's injured. Something to look out for. A turnover and a breakaway saved by Holku. A little bit too used to saying penalty on the play, but how about Holku? A breakaway save there, glove hand. We mentioned Holku at the preview. 75 save percentage coming into today, but a rookie goaltender still finding his way, finding his legs here in the division. Looking sharp so far against the number one offense in the division coming into today. 5 shots, 5 saves. Face off won the offensive end by Mythix. Sakello with it, but poke checked away by Yuti. Mythix still working in the offensive end. Kunku at the point, but bumped off of that puck. And here comes ONSE. Last chance here as they try to get that pass across to Yusu, but picked off, and now do it. For the opening period, not a lot of offense to speak of for ONSE Esports, but some great defense, some great goaltending. Leads us at a scoreless draw here, 0-0. After the opening 20 minutes of play. As you got a bit of a peek there at the stats, Mythix in full control of this game so far statistically, but again, nothing to show for it. This right here was their best chance of the game, that breakaway stop by Holku after that turnover. And another great chance right there is Sakello, the gold helmet wearer for being Mythix's leading point getter and leading goal scorer. Denied on that glove hand shot. Holku was an impressive start so far. We're underway for period number 2. We want to make sure to thank our amazing sponsors, Kovan Lakritsi, Game Changer, and Wellnet. As a shot from the point from UT, saved by Takedown. First shot of the day for ONSE Esports. 19:04 to go in the second period. A nice chance there. They'll be rewarded with an offensive zone faceoff to the right side of Takedown. Won by Mythix in the defensive zone. Moving it up. Gallo at the right boards. Mike's tried to pass it across, but nobody home, and ONSE picked up that turnover, but can they get out of their own end? Decontrolling it. Trying to find Luca up the left boards, but nothing there for him, and now here comes Mythix down the other end. The point over to Templeton at the left boards, trying to skate his way forward, but picked up by Yuti. He has been phenomenal so far for ONSE Esports. As a potential chance there, Puosu with a little bit of space, but not able to do much with it. He was bumped off that puck. Ooh, it's a big hit there. Templeton took the brunt of that one. And here comes ONSE Esports down the other end. Luca with a shot on. They score! ONSE Esports kick off the scoring. Their defense and goaltending rewards them with the opening goal. As you get a look at that one there, Luca with the move. Turns a little bit to create that space. Puts the shot on, puts it in the back of the net. And ONSE Esports draw first blood, a 1-0 lead here in the early stages of the second period. 14 minutes and a half to go. And Mythix looking for an answer now. Case with it in the offensive end, trying to pass it in front, but it's broken up. Nice play there as here comes Luka once again with each of his forwards and Pelosi and Yuso skating with him. In the offensive zone, but after reset after an offsides warning. Yupi with it, slap shot in the offensive zone, puck given chase and found by Yusu. Trying to pass it back to the point, but nobody home, and now will force ONSE Esports to reset once again. Sage over to UT, they'll move it up the ice. Poke checked away, but covered by Sage. ONSE will try again, another poke check, this time turned over. ECL trying to give it over to Okunku, but it's offsides. 10:53 to go here in period number 2. ONSE Esports striking first just a few moments ago. A 1-0 lead. After the goal from Luka. Mythix trying to find a response. Again, the offensive juggernaut of the Elite Division this season so far, struggling find their rhythm early. Kello has it behind the net, battled for between him and UT, finally creates some space for himself. Shot on, was blocked in front. Picked up by Sage, who moves it up to Luka, up the right boards with speed. Grosu, but poke checked away, and now Mythix ready to go down the other end. Dukes makes a move, lost the possession, however. And ONSE Esports again on the counterattack. Luka holding it, gets it back to the point. Retrieves it back. As a penalty going to be called. This one going to go against Mythix this time around. So a power play upcoming for ONSE Esports. It'll be Mike's heading to the box. We've talked a lot about the penalty kill of ONSE Esports, the struggles, but they've been solid today. Their power play hasn't been that much better, 13.3% coming into today, but see if they can continue their special teams, their transformation so far in this game. Face-off won, but turned over by ONSE Esports. Tempinen puts on a move, trying to find some space, but a nice back check from ONSE Esports puts a halt to it for now. Mythix still in the offensive zone. They'll turn it over, but killed some valuable time. Mythix on the penalty kill this season, 87.5%. Fourth best in the division as an offsides. A save going to be called. Face-off coming up here in the offensive zone for ONSE Esports to the left side of Takedown. As Mythix able to clear this out, ONSE Esports forced to reset. 30 seconds to go on the man advantage. As an offsides actually going to be called that time around, as step ahead there was Luka. 5:14 to go in period number 2. ONSE Esports for 1-0 lead. Just 2 shots on net so far in this game, but their lone goal from Luka earlier in the second period. Holding strong so far as Mike is out of the box and we're back to even strength. Luka with it now over at the right boards. Goes back to the point to Sage. Shot on. Saved and brushed aside by Takedown. Dukes in the neutral zone, moves it past the blue line from Mythix, finds Mike's, back to the point to Okunku, now to Tempinen, back to the point, Dukes with it, skating forward, looking for an option, but it's broken up by Sage. ONSE Esports, the defensive efforts for them today, the story, they have been disrupting Mythix in the offensive zone. Sage with it, trying to get that shot off, but was poke check from behind, and here come Mythix now. A breakaway! Poke check save made by Holku. As the puck loose by the post, picked up by Sakello. Mythix still pushing. ONSE have not avoided danger yet. Dukes with it at the point, skating forward. Shot on! They score! Mike's in front! Ties it up for Mythix late in the second period. Right when ONSE thought they had it out, Mythix keep pushing and they find their way to a goal. As you see the quick pass in front, the quick backhand shot right in between the 5-hole of Holku. With just mere seconds left in the second period, Mike's his 12th goal of the season. ties this thing up with just 7.7 seconds remaining. As ONSE trying to find the 2-on-1, shot on, gloved away by Takedown. That chance probably a little more dangerous than Mythix anticipated, but ONSE Esports with a nice opportunity with just 0.5 seconds to go here in period 2. As Mythix will pad the face-off numbers a little bit there with that clean win. No time to do anything with it, as that'll do it for period number 2. A pair of goals, one for each side. As ONSE Esports start out the scoring early in this period, Luca with a goal, but not able to hold on to that 1-0 lead heading into the final frame. As Mythix, just 7.7 seconds to go in the period with that goal right there from Mythix, tied things up at 1 apiece. But again, the story, the defense and goaltending from ONSE Esports, and you can look at the stats, it has been all Mythix. Over 10 minutes of time on attack already. For 40 minutes of play, 7 shots on net. ONSE, not much time on attack, just 3 shots on net. One of their 3 was that goal right there that you saw from Luca on that nice little turn and backhand shot. That 1-0 lead held for a good bit, over 14 minutes in fact, but Mythix in the dying seconds of that period able to find the tying mark and see which side can take home valuable points. Mythix again holding on to the number 1 spot in the division coming into today, a 2-point advantage over Last Dance we will see later today, while ONSE Esports, losers of 4 of their last 5 games, trying to get off the schneid and themselves in the thick of the playoff race as we are back underway for period number 3. Templeton had it over at the left boards for Mythix, gets it back however. It's off of that puck from behind, but a penalty going to be called. Another power play upcoming for Mythix as heading to the box will be Puosu, the centerman. ONSE Esports, as it was for that bump from behind, that will be the infraction. So Mythix, despite 3 power play opportunities, including a 5-on-3 for nearly a full 2 minutes, will have another chance here. Kunku over to Mythix there, trying to find Mythix in front. The pass is Sakelo, but not able to connect. Sakelo with it now, shot on from Mythix, saved by Hoku. Another face-off coming up now for Mythix in the offensive zone. Remember, Puosu the centerman, so it's Luca taking the face-off as the one-time shot from Sakela was blocked in front. Kunku with it at the point. Back to Veidukes, but well off on that pass, and now will force a reset. 3-5 seconds to go on the man advantage for Mythix. Not able to get into the offensive zone that time, so they'll have to try it again. Mythix with possession. For space, goes back to the point. Veidukes with it. One-time shot over from Templeton goes wide. ONSE Esports trying to clear it out. They will. That will do it for the power play of Mythix. Another power play to no avail. Just 1 shot that time around. And Mythix, we talked about it, the number 1 power play in the division coming into the day. I know it sounds like a broken record, but 0 for 4 so far against the last ranked penalty kill in the division. ONSE Esports trying to capitalize. It feels like when you're in this position, you're playing the number 1 team in the division, you're trying to keep yourselves in the playoff hunt. ONSE Esports came in 13th in the standings. You feel like the games that you have to steal, the ones that you have to find a way towards, the ones you weren't expected to win or a little bit closer, are those strengths for the other side, not really playing out as strengths. ONSE Esports with a golden opportunity. Can they take advantage of it here? They have it in the offensive zone as UT controls it at the point. Down in the corner board over to Luca, who's been one of the more active players, but it's turned over. Finds it back. Goes over to Use, who shot on. Save made there by Takedown. ONSE still pushing. Osu trying to give it back to the point. Is off on that pass, and now I'll force a reset for ONSE Esports. 9 minutes to play here. In regulation, still at a 1-1 draw. And for the goal that will break things up. Can we find it here? Shot on there from Vayduk, saved by Holku. Mythix still pushing. As a puck loose, Holku able to find that before it gets dangerous, and he'll hold on for the whistle. 7:59 to play in period number 3. Mythix, another offensive zone faceoff now coming up. Tied up, won by ONSE in the defensive zone. Luka trying to split the defenders. Gets it back after losing it for a second, and a penalty going to be called against Mythix this time. As Vayduk will head to the box. And he got him on the trip right there. So Mythix will be shorthanded. A massive opportunity here for ONSE Esports. Man advantage as we approach the latter stages of this third period. 0 for 1 today on the power play. 13% coming into today. Moving in the offensive zone. Sage with it at the point. Wait forward. Pass in front. Shot from Luka saved by Tyke down, and he won't take any chances, so another face-off now coming up. The left side, Tyke down. So zone face-off won by Akunku. Ike's had it, but turned over. So he's pushing the opposite zone. One-time shot, and they score! UT puts it through on the man advantage. His 5th goal of the season, and ONSE Esports take the lead late in the third, and all of a sudden the upset feels like it could be on. As you get a look at the replay, a lot of space for UT over at that high face-off circle. The one-time shot finds its way in the back of the net. And UT, who has been so good today for ONSE Esports, finds the goal that breaks this tie up. 5:42 to play. The number 1 team in the division be on upset alert. Mythix coming into today have only lost 2 regulation games, and both of those were to Last Dance just a couple of days ago. It would be a stunner to see the number 13th place team find their way to an upset victory, but they have to hold on for 4 more minutes. Mythix in the offensive zone now, looking to nullify that storyline. As Akunku has it. Gives it to Vayduk, trying to pass in front, but a pickoff there from Puosu. Moves it over to Yusu. Yusu controlling it, pass across in front, puck loose. Found by Tyke down, who will hold on. 2:36 now remaining. You know, there's a lot of teams looking on with interest for multiple reasons. Last Dance, trying to take that number 1 spot. Mr. Kulta, who's right behind them. Parasite. Along the line here at the top of the table. In the playoff hunt as well. ONSE Esports only 4 points back. This would be a big 3 points for them to gain that not many would have expected them to. 1 minute to play. Can Mythix find the tying mark, or will ONSE shock the ECL? Mythix in the offensive zone, shot almost blocked in front, and here's an opportunity, a 1-on-1. This is Luka turning into a 2-on-1. Nice defensive play, however, made by Akunku to disrupt it. 40 seconds now. Akunku with possession in the offensive zone. Mikes now picks it up. Vayduk's with it, but turned over. And it's a 2-on-0 now, a breakaway. Luka versus Tyke down. Shot on, he scores! Luka puts it in the back of the net. ONSE Esports up by a pair. A 2-on-1 turned into a breakaway, and Luka, for his second goal of the game, puts his team up by a pair. And this game not over, but ONSE Esports have to feel awfully good about where they stand, up by 2, just 30 seconds to play. Face-off won by ONSE, and they're going to skate this all the way back, killing off as much time as they can. Mythix trying to apply pressure. Akunku gives it over and finds Takello. Back to Akunku, but lost the puck, picked up by Mythix. Behind the net, in front, loose, found by UT, turned over nearly, but he gets it back. ONSE Esports, with 5 seconds left, they're going to hold on. A breakaway here. This is Luka looking for the hat trick, denied by Takedown, but that will do it. ONSE Esports done. Mythix, the #1 team in the Elite Division, go down. A 3-1 win for an ONSE Esports team that, as we mentioned, wasn't even in the division a month ago. Had to earn their way in through the qualifier. Defeated Herlev Eagles to mark their place in the division. And you want to talk about making a statement? That right there, ladies and gentlemen, is how you make a statement. And if you had some predictions in the chat, boy oh boy, if you put them on ONSE Esports, you brought yourselves a haul. The overwhelming majority went over to Mythix. So if you made a prediction in our Twitch chat, put some points down. Ladies and gentlemen, you made yourselves a nice little haul there. ONSE Esports with the upset win over the #1 team in the Elite. A 3-1 victory over Mythix. How about that result? We talked about what this means for ONSE Esports, a team that, like we mentioned, came in 13th in the standings, but we're only 4 points outside of the final playoff spot that's currently held by Polsky Boys. And now, with that 3 points, they take sole possession of the #9 spot in the standings. Now, obviously, we don't know what results are happening around the league right now. So there's a few other series going on, but as things currently stand, ONSE Esports, with that 1 win, moved from 13 to 9. That is a massive win from a team that not many expected to get one here today. As that goal right there from UT on the power play. Remember, this was a power play goal that UT scored on that one-timer that broke the tie, made it 2-1, and then Luka with the dagger on this breakaway that looked like it was going to be saved, but just deflected over the shoulder of Takedown and found its way in the back of the net. And what's so impressive about that power play goal is that, again, ONSE Esports, a 13% power play coming into today. That ranked 3rd to last in the division against the penalty kill in Mythix. That ranked 4th best in the division. I mean, absolutely stellar what ONSE Esports were able to do. They take down Mythix 3-1. We'll see if they can do it again, but we're going to take a short break. Be right back and get things set for game #2 between ONSE Esports and Mythix. Do not go away. We already got a fun start to the broadcast here today.
Welcome to the SportsGamer Health and Performance Program. Nice to have you here. Here you have a large amount of different workouts from Wellnet, but also material just exclusive for you gamers. In your sessions, we focus mostly on neck and shoulder mobility, back health, and concentration. So give it a try and let us know what you think about it.
Minkä päällä lakukastike maistuu parhaalta? Ei voi tietää, ellei kokeile. Kouvolan lakritsi.
All right, we are back. Thank you for sticking with us. These two teams wasting no time getting things back underway. We just saw ONSE Esports knock off Mythix in what would be widely considered an upset victory, 3-1 in regulation. Mythix coming in the #1 team in the division. ONSE coming in 13, a victory and a quick 2-on-1 potentially for ONSE, but that pass off. As once again, we are watching from the perspective of Mythix wearing their navy and teal uniforms, while ONSE in their whites as a potential breakaway nearly there for Luca, but a nice job from Mythix getting back. Forces the turnover. It's going to be interesting to see how Mythix respond. Remember, it's just their third regulation loss so far this season, and the two prior to that were against Last Dance, who are right behind them in the standings. So not often that we've seen Mythix struggle. Just one goal for the team that was tied for the league in goals for per game. Be interesting to see if they can adjust here as a one-time shot from Uti, the man who got the game-winning goal in game one. It was saved, however, by Takedown. It's a penalty call. The power play coming up here for Mythix. As it'll be Puosu heading to the box. That was another story for Mythix in that first game. A lot of power play opportunities, but 0 for 4. Against a penalty kill that ranked last in the division coming into today. One of the things that makes these series so fun, how do these teams adjust? Especially a team like Mythix that has the experience in this division to an ONSE team that are currently in their first season in the Elite. First possession on this power play, not much sticking to it. It is a quick clear out there from ONSE Esports, already halfway through this Mythix man advantage. Medu with a Kunku, looking for space, gives it back to Vades. One-time shot from Sakello, saved and held on by Holku, who cannot be lost. How good Holku was as well in that last game was a critical piece that ONSE Esports victory. Second save of the game right there. Face off one in the offensive zone by Mythix. A spinning backhand shot was blocked in front, but Mike's picked it up for Mythix. Kunku trying to give it up to the point, but it's broken up. And it's cleared out by Luca. And Puosu will make his way out of the box. A penalty going to be called. Charging call. Going to go against Veduk, so Mythix not only going to lose their power play, but they're going to have to kill off the power play themselves as well. So a power play opportunity about to come up for ONSE. Once Puosu gets out of the box, he'll be out in about 2 seconds. And there he is. So a full-on power play here pretty much for ONSE Esports. Their game winner in game one came on the man advantage. Mythix so far, however, doing a good job killing it. Dello with it at the right side. We'll dump this in and kill off a bit of time. After this power play gone for ONSE Esports. Uti with some space. Trying to put on a move, but poke checked from behind. Still battle for behind the net and found by Akunku. Mike's skating up with it. Makes a move. Gives it to Sakello on the bounce pass off of the boards. Will be turned over as here comes ONSE Esports. 2-on-1 shot on, they score! Luca sniping it top shelf. And ONSE Esports strike first yet again. As we'll get a look at it, again, a 2-on-1. Luca opts to take the shot. There wasn't a lot of space or room there. It looked like Takedown had pretty well covered it, but just enough to squeak that through. Off the post and into the net. ONSE Esports. A 1-0 lead here halfway through this first period. Mythix a little bit lost for wear right now. Struggling to find their form. As a shot tipped in front. Saved by Takedown. ONSE still pushing. Yusu's shot blocked in front by Mythix, and here comes Mythix now down the other end. They have got to get something going here. It has been a slow-going series for them so far. Hello with it. In front pass was disrupted, and here comes Sage now for ONSE Esports. Skating with it in the offensive zone. Has some space. Gives it up to the point to Luka. Now to Puosu. Checked away. Mythix trying the counterattack. Kunku had it for a second, but was disrupted. Now force a reset. 6 minutes to play here in period 1. ONSE Esports kick off the scoring here in our second game of our coverage here today. Remember to make sure to stick with us after this. We will have our 2-game series between Last Dance and Parasite. 2 of the championship favorites coming into the season. The return of Nicky Dangles against his old team. A lot of storylines. There is a shot on. Saved by Takedown on that one-timer. Mythix trying to go on the counterattack and make something happen. Less than 3 minutes to play in the period. Kunku with it, trying to pass it over to the right side, but running home, it's picked up by Sakello. Turned over. And I'll say Esports will take things back and reset. Trying to move it forward, but nothing there, and he'll have to reset here once again. UT with it. Gives it over to Luka. Controlling it. Back to the point to Sage. Back to Luka. Shot in front. Saved by Takedown, and he'll freeze it with 30.4 seconds to go. An offensive zone face-off now coming up here for ONSE Esports. Tied up. Won by ONSE. 10 seconds now. Sage at the point. Shot on. Swept aside by Takedown. ONSE still pushing. Maybe a potential breakaway for Sakello, but not going to be enough time for him to do much with it, as that will do it for period number 1. ONSE Esports with a 1-0 lead. And controlling the game a lot better than game number 1 as well. Game 1, it kind of felt like they were holding on to their defense and goaltending while Mythix controlled things in the offensive zone. This game, however, ONSE Esports have been in the zone just as much, if not more, than Mythix have been. They've had more opportunities, and the best of those opportunities, that goal right there from Luka. And you can see in the stats, 6 shots to 2. In favor of ONSE Esports, despite the time of attack being rather even, both sides with more than 3 minutes in the offensive zone. And here's another look at that goal from Luka. A lot of space that he skated in with there. Late defensive effort, not enough. Takedown not able to make that save on the glove side. And again, the question, what does Mythix need to do to adjust and find their game here offensively? Team has been just stellar and so impressive on the offensive side this season, being shut down right now as we're underway for period number 2. We want to make sure we thank our sponsors once again. Kovan Lockett, Game Changer, and WellNet for their generous support of the ECL and SportsGamer and everything we do here. We do would not be possible without their support, so make sure you guys don't show them the love that they show us. As Mythix take over possession. Pumped in by Vaydukes, puck given chase. Race to it, won by ONSE Esports. It's a turnover in their own end, leads to a wraparound chance, but shot hits the side of the net, and ONSE now take over. Sage trying to move it up to Luka. Turned over, however, and Vaydukes against the break-in now for Mythix. Kunku with it, up to Tempinen. Tempinen stops and gives it back up to the point to Kunku. Back to Tempinen. Tempinen's been held rather quiet so far today. He's not the only one. Out for at the boards. Found by a Kunku from Mythix. Pass in front. Picked off there by UT. Could have been a dangerous chance there for Mythix, but ONSE denies them of it. Uosu with it. Turned over. Nice defensive play there made by Tempinen to break that play up. Mike's with it. Had the lone goal in game one for Mythix. Puck loose in front of the net and found by Holku, who will hold on and freeze it. 12:54 to play. ONSE Esports still holding on to their 1-0 lead. An offensive zone faceoff coming up for Mythix to the right side of Holku. One clean lead. Mike's shot. Found by ONSE. Mythix get it back in the neutral zone. Nice bump off the puck there as Vadux tried to cross the blue line. And here come ONSE Esports down the other end. And the offensive zone pass in front was picked off easily by Sakello, who skates up the right boards with plenty of speed. Is it up to Mike? Shot on. Saved by Holku. Will once again freeze it. Mythix starting to find some offense here. Already 3 shots in this period. 5 now on the game. It's a big hit there. Offensive zone faceoff now coming up for Mythix as ONSE Esports look like they're going to take a timeout here. Get a look at a couple of the opportunities from Mythix in this second period so far. All 3 shots. Rather dangerous. Right in front. Near that blue paint. Holku standing tall so far, however. As an offside called there, Vaduk's not able to keep that puck from crossing the blue line. Whoa, we're going to get a penalty here. So a penalty after the whistle going to go against Mythix. That's going to be Vadux heading to the box, and I can't say I've seen that one before on broadcast. That is a killer for Mythix that they're going to have to, you know, with a lack of a better term, kill off. That is mind-boggling right there. I don't even know how to describe that. I mean, it looked like Vadux was just kind of minding his business, but they're going to call penalty against him after the play. So a power play for ONSE Esports. Remember, their goal came right at the tail end of the power play earlier in this game, and their game winner in game 1 was on the power play as well. So they've been opportunistic on the man advantage, but folks, I'm as puzzled as you are on that one. No clue what that penalty was for, but ONSE so far not able to capitalize on it. Just 5 seconds to go on their power play. Their shot from the slot was blocked in front, as Vadux will now come out of the box. Maybe unrightfully penalized on that play as a shot was saved by Takedown, who will hold on for the whistle. We're back to even strength. I'm still trying to wrap my head around that penalty. I have never seen that one. But it's all behind us now. No goal. And the penalty killed off successfully by Mythix. As they're now in the offensive zone. Vadux controls it. Gives it to Sakello. Back to Vadux at the point. Working it around right now are Mythix on the cycle. Sakello working. Gets it back on a pass off to the boards. Gives it over to Vadux at the point. Back to Sakello. Puck loose at the side of the net. And found by UT for ONSE Esports. 5 minutes to go. You're in period number 2. Vadux up the right side with some speed. Slows it down. Gives it over to Tempinen. One timer was blocked. And ONSE Esports trying to get it out, but cannot. Opportunity here for Mythix, but not able to capitalize just yet. Kunku with it. Turned over. Nice poke check there made by ONSE Esports defensively, and they'll slow things down a little bit here, but turn it over in their own end. A nice play from Sakello defensively. Vadux trying to skate forward. Turned over. Luka has it. Tried to pass it over to Yusu on the one-timer, but it was disrupted. Mythix now take over possession. Less than 90 seconds to play here in period 2. Mythix looking for the tying mark. UT controlling it, however, now for ONSE Esports. Moves it up. As Yusu puts on a move, has some space. Puck loose at the side of the net. And Takedown will eventually find it and just hold on to it to stop play. 8.3 seconds to go. And an offensive zone face-off now here for ONSE Esports. One in the defensive zone by Mythix, trying to get one more rush. Well, checked away in an offside call. And that's just been the story of the series for Mythix so far. Whenever they think they have a little bit of space, they think they have an opportunity, ONSE Esports just seem to find the answer to stop it in its tracks. 3.3 seconds to go. And ONSE Esports will win the face-off and just kill off the rest of the time. They hold a 1-0 lead. Not sure many expected it. But a Game 1 victory, and they are 20 minutes away from potentially a sweep? Who would have thought that? A sweep from ONSE Esports potentially over Mythix, but they'll have to finish the job. Mythix pushing well there in that second period, but have yet to break the scoring drought. One has reached over 60 minutes now for this Mythix side. Haven't scored since earlier on in the second period of game number 1. As you see the stats, Mythix with the advantage of time on attack, but I mean, they're averaging a little bit less than a shot per minute in the offensive zone. That's not a way for success more times than not. ONSE Esports, despite less time on attack, have had some shots, but remember, 6 of those 7 shots in the first period, so Mythix were able to find a little bit of something there defensively to slow them down, but you're not going to win without scoring, and Mythix, their offense that, again, was the story of their season coming into the day, has been slowed up as a save, but it trickled in late. Puosu will get credit for the goal. And ONSE Esports have doubled their lead to 2. It was an innocent-looking shot. We'll get a look at the replay as you see a kind of wacky animation there for Takedown. He goes down on his back trying to keep it from going in. And this should give us a better angle here. It looks like he just kind of bounced in. So ONSE Esports, just 30 seconds into the third period, rip it on net, and it trickles its way in past Takedown. A 2-0 lead for ONSE Esports. And all of a sudden, things have gotten rather scary for a Mythix team that have not faced much adversity throughout this season. Down by 2 and have struggled to really find any answers to speak of. As a one-timer from the point from Mike, saved by Holku. How good has Holku been? Again, we've talked about the offense. We've mentioned UT a lot. We've mentioned Luka a lot. As Yusu with some speed, stops, goes, shot on, saved there by Takedown. Looked like that may have been goal number 3 for ONSE, but they're denied by the blocker. As Mythix in the offensive end, puck loose in front. And back to Mythix in the neutral zone. As Akunku controls it behind the net, checked away, but found by Mikes. To Vedux, back to Mikes. At the corner. Vedux with it, moves it behind the net, but not able to pick up that pass with Sakelo, now forced to reset. I do want to get back to that point, though, about Holku. Remember, Holku coming into today, a 75 save percentage, was not the starter for this ONSE Esports team coming into the season, but he lets one go by him right there. Mikes off the post and in. His second goal of the series, and Mythix, with the exact response that they needed, they cut that lead in half. How about that pass right there as well from Akunku, threading the needle. Getting Mikes in stride, who puts it in. Just a little bit of daylight there. Oku gave him over on that right post. And Mythix, exactly what the doctor ordered. A goal to trim the lead back down to 1. Still lots of time. 13:04 to go here in regulation. And the Mythix team has proven throughout the season that they can score in bunches. They haven't shown it today, but that ability hasn't gone away. It's a shot on, blockered away by Holku. And you see the confidence maybe growing now here for Mythix. And for ONSE Esports, how do you respond to the punchback? They start to clam up or respond with a punch of their own. We're going to have to wait and find out. We'll see over the next 10:51. Face-off coming up to neutral zone after that offsides call. Won by ONSE Esports. Luka with possession. Moves up to the point. Sage controlling it. The corner. Luka over to Sage, gets it back. Right up behind the net. Now here come Mythix down the opposite end. Mike on the pass from Tempinen, looking for space. Goes to the point and gets it back. The Vaydux now. Looking, trying to find something. Puck loose in front, found by Sage, and here come ONSE Esports down the other end. 7.5 to play. Rosu trying to force his way down the middle, but nothing doing. And here comes Mythix down the other end. Mike's with it, pass across, disrupted. Mythix still in possession. Kello with it. Up to Vaydux at the point. Now to Akunku. Passing a quick cycle for Mythix throughout the day, but just not able to find a lot of clear-cut opportunities. Vaydux shot on the water and they scores for Kello! Ties it up at 2 for Mythix. And it just doesn't take long for the story and the narrative to completely change on its head. From down 2-0 to tied at 2 apiece, Mythix had the momentum on their side and in their favor for the first time today. 5 minutes to go in regulation and we're all even again. ONSE Esports have it in the offensive zone, but an offside's called as that dump and play, maybe just a hair too antsy, was Luka as he crossed the blue line. Faced off one in the neutral zone by ONSE. They now have it on the offensive side. Shot almost blocked in front. Here come Mythix down the other end, but turned over. Luka had it, not for long. Mythix in possession. Just 2.5 minutes to play. Critical points here on the line. Kunku with it. Lost, however, and ONSE pick it up. For those not familiar with our point system here in the ECL, 3 points for a regulation win, 2 for an overtime win, 1 for an overtime loss, and obviously no points given out for a regulation loss. So a big 55 seconds coming up here. A massive point swing, and the balance is a shot on, saved by Takedown. And he'll hold on to it with 48.8 seconds to play. An offensive zone faceoff upcoming for ONSE Esports. Can they fight off the push here that Mythix has put on them the last few minutes? As a shot goes wide right off the faceoff. Loose behind the net and found by Mythix. Vaydux. Kunku with a bit of a miscommunication, but they'll recover and start the breakout. Kello with it, poke checked right as he crossed that blue line. 30 seconds now. Mythix trying the cross, but an offside call as Mike's hadn't made his way back in the neutral zone yet. Once again, make sure you stick with us after this game. We'll have our series between Last Dance and Parasite. We have been treated to 2 really fun matchups here today. 2 of the best teams in Europe, 2 of the best teams in the world. Matching up one-on-one. A potential championship preview that we'll be seeing in that one. A lot of people feel in the community, but A big 8 seconds here, as here comes Luca for ONSE Esports. 5 seconds ago, a nice disruption there from Tempinen and Mythix. And that will do it for regulation. 60 minutes not enough, a point apiece. Both these two sides, and I think for ONSE Esports, they're going to consider, in terms of a points day, a massive victory. They've secured 4 points out of this series. Well, Mythic's not going to be able to earn more than 2. So, in terms of gains in the standings, ONSE Esports, with quite the result in this series, regardless of how this overtime goes. But with the standings being so tight the way they are, you feel like this 1 point in the balance could end up meaning something for either of these two teams. ONSE Esports right in the thick of the playoff hunt. Mythix currently holding the #1 spot in the division by just 2 points. And they're going to have to see their adversary that's right behind them in Last Dance play 2 games right here on broadcast after this. So I'm sure that some of the Mythix fans, Mythix players that are maybe keeping an eye on things will remain tapped in with us. I hope they do, at least. We'll have a couple of fun games on tap for them, but we've got overtime action coming up. Who's going to be able to end this series with a win? As Mikes and Puosu meet at face-off circle, and we're underway for overtime. As an offside will be how we start things out just 11 seconds in. We want to take the time to thank our amazing sponsors, Covenant Lacracy, Game Changer, and WellNet for their amazing and generous support of us here in the ECL and SportsGamer. What we do would not be possible without them. So let you guys go and check them out, support them. You can see some of the links to some deals that we have going on over at Game Changer and WellNet in the chat. ONSE Esports win the neutral zone face-off and begin the break-in. Rosu controlling it to the point as the shot goes on, just kind of patted away there harmlessly by Takedown. That's Akello with space shot on, they score! Tempinen wins it in overtime for Mythix! And they take the extra point here in this game too. Not been pretty, but from 2 up down, 3-2 overtime victory. Mythix knock off the Esports with a resilient comeback effort. As you get another look at it there, the pass over from Sakello finds Tempinen, who had been held in check all day. Hulku just not ready to make that save. Beats him with the quick flick of the wrist. And Mythix with a much needed victory, 3-2 in overtime over ONSE Esports. They collect that much needed extra point, so they come out of this thing with 2 points, but man, oh man, probably not the result they still were looking for. #1 team in the division, going up against a team that, again, we hadn't seen before. ONSE Esports in their first Elite Division season. An ONSE team that I think you can say made a statement here today. But they can hang with the big dogs in this division. Not only stealing that Game 1 victory, but having a 2-0 lead in this game once upon a time. But Mythix found their offensive groove, flexed their muscle. Showed you why they came in as the #1 offensive team in the league in a tie with Last Dance for goals for per game. They take a 3-2 victory as we'll get one last look at that overtime game winner. As Sakello able to make that one little move to the right, Tempinen cutting to his right, defender going left. And Hulku just not totally square to the shooter of Tempinen on that play to make the save. Gives Mythix the win, 3-2 in overtime as we bring you back into the studio here. Brandon B. Major Bigsby with you. How about that series, ladies and gentlemen? I'm sure a lot of people kind of came in and saw this one. It's like, okay, Mythix, the #1 team in the Elite Division, going up against the ONSE Esports team that's viewed as more of an upstart, trying to prove themselves. A lot of people thinking if this ONSE team just stays out of a relegation spot, that'll be a win for them this season. All of a sudden, folks, they are right in the thick of the playoff hunt halfway through the season, and a big 4 points for them will do them a lot of good. We'll see all the standings and stuff when we preview our next series between Last Dance and Parasite, as folks, there are storylines aplenty for that series. Two of the best teams in the league, two of the best teams in Europe over the last few years, a former star going up against his old team. So many things to talk about, so many things to go through. We will bring you through all of that and more after this break. We're going to take a short break, get things set up, hear a word from our sponsors. Do not go away. We will have Parasite versus Last Dance after the break.
Welcome to the SportsGamer Health and Performance Program. Nice to have you here. Here you have a large amount of different workouts from Wellnet, but also material just exclusive for you gamers. In your sessions, we focus mostly on neck and shoulder mobility, back health, and concentration. So give it a try and let us know what you think about it.
Minkä päällä lakukastike maistuu parhaalta? Ei voi tietää, ellei kokeile. Kouvolan lakritsi.
All right, thank you all for sticking with us. We are back. We just saw a great series concluded between Mythix and ONSE Esports. ONSE Esports taking game 1 3-1. Mythix taking game 2 3-2 in overtime, as we now turn the page into our second series of our featured coverage here today. And folks, if you stuck around, I promise you are not going to be disappointed. Parasite going up against Last Dance. These two teams have been the class of the Elite Division for, about as long as you can go back to. So many championships, so many stories, so many of the just marquee moments in the ECL Elite Division are tied with so many players between these two teams. They match up here head to head. But before we do get started, let's take a quick look at the standings, kind of catch you up on maybe some of the things that have happened since we began our broadcast here today. And again, ONSE Esports, the big story, 19 points in the standings in a three-way tie for that 8th and final spot, with Exen holding it on over Polsky Boys and ONSE. And how about Exen? With a couple of results there for them, they were not in that A spot to begin the day. They moved their way up to number 8, and after a really sluggish start to the season, Exen all of a sudden starting to find their way, getting some wins. That's what you want to see from this veteran group that really did struggle again to start the season, while again, the two teams will be focusing on Last Dance and Parasite. Both of them 12 games apiece. Last Dance with a 4-point gap in the standings over Parasite. And another reason that last series was so big, Mythix holding on to that number 1 spot. They were able to get an extra point in there. They have 34 compared to the 30th Last Dance. But depending on how this thing goes, we could see a new number 1 in the Elite Division table at the end of the day. And then obviously Parasite, depending on how things go, could go up as high as 3, could end up going up as high as 2. So a lot of shifting that could happen here in the standings. We're seeing some series trickle in outside of the series that we're covering here today. I'm sure we'll see more changes as we continue to move along here throughout the day. At the end of the broadcast, we'll take one more look at it. But once again, we want to put the focus and the spotlight on our two teams, Last Dance and Parasite. Take a quick look at the team matchup in the head-to-head. And you can see pretty even overall between these two teams. The goals for, pretty even. The goals against, a slight advantage towards Parasite. 21 goals allowed for them compared to 28 for Last Dance. We talked about that stat earlier, Mythix being the highest goal-scoring team in the division coming into the day. Well, that was in a tie with Last Dance, both at 3.5, and then Parasite right behind them at 3.42. Parasite, however, with the advantage defensively. They have had the least goals allowed per game at 1.75. That's something that a lot of times I feel like gets slept on with this Parasite team. For so long, you talk about the offense, you talk about the goal-scoring power that this team has had, but the defense and goaltending, a big part of what this team does. You see the penalty kill, very, very strong. Well, for Last Dance, struggling a little bit on the PK so far this season. Not necessarily bad, but bottom 5 to start out so far this season, while their power play a little bit better. Parasite struggling on the power play. So a lot of different factors, a lot of different advantages and disadvantages for both these teams. It'll be interesting to see who can capitalize on what here in this 2-game series. As now we will take it over to the starting lineups for both of these two teams. Starting out with Parasite, the forward trio, Vatu at left wing, Benito at center, and Ardo at right wing. This is going to be the first time that we've seen Aro with this Parasite team transferred over from Mustakulta in the offseason. Be the first series where we get a look at him here on broadcast. The rest of this team returning from that championship that championship winning team a season ago. Tombo at left defense and Teemu at right defense, while in between the pipes will be Fincerdi. While for Last Dance, second time we've covered them this season, Puanso at left wing, Eki at center, and then the former longtime Parasite right winger moving over to Last Dance in the offseason. Nicky Dangles at that right wing spot, facing off against his former team here today. Back on defense, Landstrom and Yamal, the man in between the pipes, one of the best goaltenders to ever grace the ECL in Hanselinho, starting at goal for this Last Dance team. Let's take you position by position now, starting out with the centers. Two of the most decorated centers in the history of the ECL, Benito for Parasite, Eki for Last Dance. I mean, how many times have we seen these two go up head-to-head in ECL finals, whether it's an LAN event, whether it's in just, your normal at-home remote event? These two have faced off against each other countless of times. I honestly would maybe argue to say that there are probably not two centers that know each other better than Benito and Eki know each other in terms of what to expect, what the either is thinking. It's going to be so fun to see these two go head-to-head here once again. The stats very similar between each other. Really the one difference, just the goals compared to assists. 15 goals for Benito on his 24 points, while Eki, more of a playmaker, more of a giver. 28 points, 23 of them being assists. The face-off percentage in the favor of Eki as well, 54% compared to 49.6 for Benito. A little surprising to see Benito below 50%, usually one of the better face-off centers in the division. Going to be a lot of fun to see these two go head-to-head once again. And for the wingers, that will be slotting next to them. Again, the big name that really stands out to you are the pair of right wingers. Aro, who has kind of gotten off to a slower start after such a great season last season with Mustakulta. One of the leading point getters, was the transfer of the season for Mustakulta last season. So far, the point production slowing down a little bit, still getting himself acclimated with his new team. It takes time. In fact, how about this? Aro is 5th in points for this Parasite team coming into the day out of 5 skaters. So not often do you see a winger, or really a forward in general, ranked last of all of his starters in points. But yet Aro, not necessarily seeing the point production, but he brings a lot more to the table than that. You'll see that here today. He has Vatu right next to him, who is coming off of a historic season, forward of the year, player of the year a season ago, without any question. Broke records, was absolutely phenomenal. Again, can't really expect him to repeat and replicate what he did a season ago. It wouldn't even be fair, really, to ask him to do that. For those that aren't aware, 71 goals, 58 assists, 129 points, and 18 regular season games a season ago. Numbers that it'll be a long time before we see that replicated in the Elite Division. First time we've seen him this season. Going to be fun to see. And then you see Puanso at the left wing for Last Dance, coming back after not playing with this team for a couple of seasons. Last was with them when they were under the Strikers branding. Great season so far with 18 goals and 25 points. And then, as we mentioned, Nicky Dangles facing off against his former team. He has not skipped a beat with his new team. 30 points in 12 games played. Still showing why he is one of the better forwards in all of Europe, arguably in the world. But it's the first time we've really seen him without this Parasite team. And so far, he's showing that it's not all about the team. He's got that ability on his own. He has come in and fit in with this team seamlessly. He has been phenomenal. Going to be fun to watch him go up against Parasite, who are so familiar with him. Now, back to the defenses. Again, so many stars, so many names. Tombo and Teemu at the left side, Landstrom and Yamal on the right side. Tombo and Teemu, who've been just so good since pairing together last season. Going to be interesting to watch them once again against this Last Dance team that have been so good offensively. And they've had some points as well compared to a Landstrom-Yamal pairing that have been a little bit more defensively oriented, have not had the point production exactly at a point per game, 12 in 12 games they've played. But again, defense is what really matters the most at that defense position. Both of these two have been two of the better pairings so far in the division, and we get the treat of seeing them go head-to-head here today. And last but not least, the goaltenders between these two sides, the starters, Fincerdi for Parasite, Hanselinho for Last Dance, and you see Fincerdi, only 4 games played, but an 87.8 save percentage in those games played. They have split time between him and Unique, who has also been phenomenal and one of the better goalies in the division for a while now. And Hanselinho, a little bit under what you would expect from him in terms of the stats, that 78 save percentage, a little bit below his standard. But again, one of the all-time statistical leaders in any goalie category that you could mention. He's been phenomenal so far today. Or rather, phenomenal in his career. We'll see if he can continue to bump that stat up a little bit over the next few series. As, again, the last time we saw him, it was even lower than that. I believe it was around a 74 save percentage when we had last covered this Last Dance team, and he stepped up, made some massive saves in a great series, and stepped up in their series against Mythix as well. 84 save percentage, 71 save percentage in those two games. Played well against Exon as well. So two of the better goalies in the division matching up against each other head to head. As we are just a few minutes away from getting things underway between Parasite and Last Dance, so we wait for them to get things set up. But before we do that, we want to once again remind you to make sure to go to sportsgamer.gg and check out our ECL 25 Spring 1v1 as our signups are now up, active, and underway. You can sign up now and compete for the European Championship and a piece of the €1,500 prize pool. But if you're looking for a little bit something less competitive, that's okay. We've got you covered on that as well. You can join the 1v1 chill tournament where you can compete in a more relaxed environment against players of a slightly less competitive mindset. There's no prize pool here. Only good vibes and fun competition. So make sure you go to sportsgamer.gg and check that out. You can sign up or learn more information about everything going on, both our competitive and our 1v1 chill series. As we also want to make sure to put you on to our friends over at Game Changer. If you go to GameChangerOfficial.fi, use the code SportsGamer10 at checkout. You can get a discount on your purchase. They have so many amazing products, supplements for focus, supplements for performance, relaxation, anything that you're looking for. Game Changer's got it. The ease of just 2 capsules a day. Great prices. Make sure you go to GameChangerOfficial.fi. And if you're looking for some supplements to maybe help you throughout your day, whether it's recovery, focus, performance, or relaxation, they've got you covered. You can use that code SportsGamer10 at checkout, and you can get a nice little discount. So make sure you go there. And also, if you want a little exercise to go along with that, you can go to health.sportsgamer.gg and use the code SportsGamer1 for a 1-month free trial. They have all types of amazing exercises, even some exercises that are more centered and focused towards gamers like ourselves. So I know it's not always easy to go out and exercise, and you have to go to a gym, you have to go out and you have to do things and fit it within your busy schedule. Maybe you have some ECL games you got to play and you just don't have time to fit it in. WellNet allows you to do it all from the fingertips of your phone. They even have some cool exercises that are specifically curtailed for gamers. Make sure you go to health.sportsgamer.gg, use that code SportsGamer1, give them a try for that 1-month free trial. A big thank you to Game Changer as well as WellNet for their support of the ECL and SportsGamer and for giving us as a community some really awesome deals that we can take advantage of. As you can see, both teams are ready to go. Last Dance versus Parasite. And boy, oh boy, folks, this is going to be a lot of fun. We will be watching from the perspective of Last Dance. They are the home side, wearing those crispy black, pink, and blue uniforms, while Parasite in their classic white and reds, as we are underway and ready to go. Again, this will be a 2-game series between these two sides. Parasite trying to move it into the offensive zone, but an offside's called. Again, just so many storylines, layers of them in this series. How does Nicky Dangles look against his former team? Two teams that are projected to finish 1-2 in the standings coming into the season, the championship favorites. Parasite working it in the offensive zone. Tamu with it at the point. Bring it up, trying to find Benito in the slot, but it's picked off well there by Eki. Last Dance trying to get it out of their own end. Parasite, however, applying some pressure. Puanzo moves up to Lundstrom. Finds Nicky Dangles right side. Back to Lundstrom, over to Yamal the man now at the point. It's a one-time shot from Puanzo, blocked in front, and Parasite now moving on the counterattack. This is Ardo with it, pass across, blocked once again. Parasite still pushing. There's a shot there from Ardo all of a sudden. Gloved in by Hanselinho, who will hold on for the stoppage. Defensive zone face-off now coming up here for Parasite. Tied up. Loose and found by Last Dance, but turned over. That's trying to get it over to Tombo at the point, but that was off, and it'll force a reset here for Parasite. Temu and Tombo move it up. Find Vatu. Turned over, a nice defensive play there as Nicky Dangles gives it over to Eki, now to Puanzo. Trying to give it over to Nicky Dangles on the cross crease, but that play broken up there. Parasite doing a nice job defensively here so far to start this game out. Dangles gets it for Last Dance. Holding at the boards and goes to Eki. Puanzo behind the net, back to Eki. Wraparound attempt is Vincere able to get a hold on that one. And he frees it with 11:55 to go. An offensive zone face-off now for Last Dance. Their first of the game. To Eki. Right side of Vincere, one in the defensive zone by Parasite. Offside call on that slap play attempt to Vatu. .35 to play. The score was here between these two sides. Ardo has it here for Parasite. Temu moving into the offensive zone. Ardo controlling it, goes behind the net. Nito with it and goes over to Vatu. Tombo with it. Checked away. Nice defensive play made by Nicky Dangles, who has some space and a skater with him. Eki now with it. Shot on! Saved by Vincere. Eki with it. Shot. Hits the side of the net. Parasite take over possession. Best chance of the day there. Eki denied there by the goaltender Vincere. Up loose in the neutral zone. Tombo finds it and will back up and reset to start the breakout. Nito to Vatu. Put a point to Tombo, who gives it back to Vatu, but it's picked off by Eki, who skates up with speed. Gives it up to Puanzo, back to Eki, over to Nicky Dangles, shot. It's the side of the net. Tombo takes it here for Parasite to Benito. Nice move, pass in front, knocked away. A turnover by Last Dance in their own end. Benito controlling it. Trying to give it over to Vatu, but picked off by Yamal Demand. Eki with it, shot on, they score! Puanzo! The old school connection strikes again for Last Dance. And they strike first, a 1-0 lead with a little under 5 minutes to go. Here in the opening frame of this series, as we get a look at the replay. Quick pass, quicker shot. Puanzo squeaks it through the 5-hole from Vincere. 1-0 lead here for Last Dance. They open things up. 4:47 to play in period number 1. Two longtime teammates of Eki and Puanzo. They were also once upon a time longtime rivals. If we go back to the days of Havu versus Philadelphia. The shot on there, saved by Hanselinho. Dangerous chance there for Parasite. They'll have possession now in the neutral zone. Vatu controlling it. Shot on the one-timer, saved by Hanselinho. That was Aro on that play. Last Dance moving once again. Nicky Dangles at the right boards. One-time shot blocked in front. They were trying to hit Puanzo again. 90 seconds to play here in the opening frame, and the offense starting to open up for both teams here. Puanzo up the left boards. Goes to Eki, shot, saved in the glove of Vincere, who moves it out. And it allows Last Dance to continue the push. Parasite now with it. 6 seconds to play. Temu to Aro. Checked away from Lonstrom. One more chance. Another poke check. And that will do it for the first period. A fun first period that gave us a little bit of everything. Some plays on defense, some big saves, and even one goal. Last Dance hold a 1-0 lead through 20 minutes. Puanzo with that game-breaking goal right here. The pass over from Eki. Puanzo with just enough time and enough space. Move that puck in past Vincere. Take a look at the stats. Shots split right down the middle. 6 in total and 3 for each side, but Parasite with the advantage in terms of time on attack so far. These are two teams that love to play the possession game, love to be patient. They won't always take the first shot. They want the best shot. So not surprised to see it. A game where it's quality over quantity between these two sides. It's how we've seen this series between these two play out in the past. Played out that way through 20 minutes as we are underway for period number 2. Last Dance wasting no time in the offensive zone. Dangles has it. Shot goes wide in front from Eki. Big hit there from the neutral zone. Vatu taking the full brunt of that one. Last Dance will pick things up in their own end and break out. Jamal's attempt to Mickey Dangles picked off, and here come Parasite down the other end. Aro with it. Pressured from behind, but evades the defender. Moves it across opposite side boards. And finds Combo at the point. It's a shot in front. Squeaks its way in! Vatu will get credit for the goal! And Parasite even things up. As it was a rather innocent-looking shot, Vatu had a lot of pressure, no options really but to just put that puck on net unless he wanted to turn it over. Hanselino not able to get all of that puck. It trickles in past him. And we've seen a lot of those quick, sudden goals that you wouldn't see coming. We get another one. This one ties this up at 1 apiece. And Last Dance looking to respond quickly in the offensive zone. He dangles to Eki. With point to Lundstrom. Now to Yamal. Shot from Puanzo rather weak, but Eki picks it up in front, trying to get Vincere to move with a shot saved. And a pass towards the slot. Combo will slow it down just a tad and will now try to break things in, but it's turned over. Nice defensive play from Puanzo, who's been all over the ice in this game. The Last Dance. Offsides now called. In a neutral zone faceoff. One more look there at that quick pass, that quick play has looked like that was a shot in front. May have hit off of someone instead, but didn't really get a good angle on that. But Vincere had to be sharp and in position as we get another look at it. It's probably the best angle, and yeah, it looks like a shot in front there from Puanzo. We had just mentioned has been all over the ice for this Last Dance team, both offensively and defensively. Has that one goal for Last Dance. Maybe stopped a few potential goals for Parasite. He has it now, but turned it over after that poke check. Aro, up the right boards with speed, gives it up to Benito. Checked away, that was Puanzo again that's covering him, but he gets it back. Vatu with it at the corner. To Tomba. Back to Benito now, just working it around our Parasite, and that's that possession game we talk about. They like to move that puck around and wait for that opportunity to open up. Didn't there, however. They now move it in past the neutral zone once again. Kamu moves it around, but nobody at the point to retrieve it. Parasite will have to do it all over again. We're halfway through this game. Tied at 1 each side with 4 shots. Tamu with it at the point. Shot on from Benito. Like it might have been blocked in front. Wasn't an official register shot on net, but nevertheless, here comes Last Dance down the other end. Mickey Dangles pass over to Eki. Gets it back. Puck loose. And found by Vincere, who will go ahead and freeze it. Not going to take any chances this time, so a defensive zone face-off coming up for Parasite to the left of Vincere. And Eki and Benito at the face-off circle. The face-off won by Benito in his own end. Here comes Parasite. Ardo. Past Lundstrom. Stops. Tries to move it down low, but a nice job from Yamal, the man, to read that and disrupt that play as he moves it up and Last Dance getting to the offensive end. Mickey Dangles dumps this in. Found first by Tamu. Will now start the counterattack. Vatu controlling it for Parasite. Back to Tombo at the point. To Vatu. Two longtime teammates won multiple championships with tunnel vision over on the right side of your screen. Benito with it pass in front, but picked off by Lonster. 4.5 minutes remaining now in the second period. Nicky Dangles at the point, but nothing available to him. Nicky Dangles rather quiet so far in 2 periods. Had some possessions, but not able to create too much. Lundstrom turned it over after that bump off of the puck, and here comes Teemu. Poke check from behind, a great defensive play made by Yamal the man. Yamal controlling it now, gives it up to Puanso. Puck rings its way over to the corner, and it's picked up by Parasite. Combo. Giving it over to Teemu, the two defenders working together to get it past the blue line. Turned over, however, Nicky Dangles had it, but could not hold on to that puck to make it a breakaway. That pretty much killed the counterattack opportunity for Last Dance. Less than a minute to play. Parasite moving in the offensive end. Vatu with it. Goes behind the net to Benito. Benito creates some space. Gets it up to Teemu. Pass in front. Shot and they score! Oro! Puts it in the back of the net. And Parasite, back-to-back goals, take their first lead of the day with just seconds remaining in the second period. And we talked about Ardo. The transfer from Mustakulta over the offseason was a transfer announced just weeks before the season started. Just his 8th goal of the season, came in with just 16 points in 12 games. Least points of any skater on Parasite's team. But he was right there where he needed to be to tap that in on the pass in front. And Parasite will go into the third period up by a goal. A 2-1 lead. As you see that big hit there from Nicky Dangles, 5 hits so far for him. Not something we talk about with Nicky Dangles, the physicality, but showing it off so far in this game. But nevertheless, Parasite, a 2-1 lead after 40 minutes of play in a game that, again, has been about everything we'd expect. Very methodical, very possession-based, and so far it's been Parasite that have had the advantage. Nearly 4 more minutes of time on attack, 7:14 compared to 3:17, but the shots still rather even, 5-4 in favor of Parasite. So, again, this is a game and a series that is about quality over quantity. They're not going to take the first shot they see more times than not. However, Parasite, they did that on that first goal from Vatu. It trickled its way in past Hanselino, but that was their best shot with all that pressure around them. And it found its way in the back of the net. We're underway for period number 3. We want to thank our sponsors once again, COVID on Locuracy, Game Changer, and WellNet for their support of the ECL and SportsGamer. As a shot from the point from Tombo, left side by Hanselino, and here comes Last Dance down the other end, but a nice play there. Teemu completely derailing the efforts of Puanso. Parasite have possession in the neutral zone. Tombo moves it to Aro. Aro shot on. Puck picked up in front by Nicky Dangles. Parasite still find their way back to possession. Turned over right as they cross the blue line. Nicky Dangles with it on the right boards. Gives it to Eki. At the corner. Goes to the point to Yamal. Yamal with space. Evades a defender. Can't get the shot off as his poke checked away and picked up by Lundstrom. Over to Puanso. Now to Nicky Dangles behind the net. Back to the point to Yamal. Yamal picked off on that pass to Lundstrom. Aro with a great defensive play. Bump from behind with force. Now stop a potential one-on-one opportunity. And Last Dance will end up creating the turnover. A 3-on-2 potentially forming. Eki pass across over to Puanso in front. But he's denied by Fincere, who will hold on for the freeze. An offensive zone face-off now for Last Dance. 13:24 to go here in regulation. They find themselves down by 1. The goals. Puanso with the lone goal for Last Dance. Off the 2 wingers. Vatu and Aro with the pair of goals for Parasite. We get another offensive zone face-off now coming up after Vincere found that puck and held it once again. To his right side. Won by Eki cleanly. Oh, the one-timer blocked in front. Jamal Naman was the one that let that one rip at the point. Last dance now with possession. Eki controlling it. Jamal a little bit off on that pass. He'll reset things. So back to Jamal. To pass the blue line. Nice drop there from Ardo, disrupting it. And it's going to lead to a breakaway. One-on-one. Back and shot. These fans pays virtue for Ardo. Beats Hansalino on that flying poke check. And Parasite double their lead to 2. Second goal of the game for Ardo. And you see it right there. He just in that split second was able to recognize that flying poke check. Hansalino not able to disrupt them. And it's the defense that led to the offense for Ardo. Another defensive play, created the turnover, led to that breakaway. Almost had won the possession before that. And all of a sudden, Parasite up by 2. A 3-1 score halfway through this third period. Last dance, feeling some pressure, and they're trying to respond. Here's Eki, pass across, and Nicky Dangles disrupted. Shot hits the side of the net afterwards. And Sergey finds it. And hold on for the stop. 8:53 to go in period number 3. Last dance, an offensive zone face-off coming up, looking for their first goal since that score from Puanzo earlier on. 3 unanswered from Parasite ever since that. Vatu controls it for Parasite in the offensive zone. Moves it behind the net. Found by Ardo. Ardo trying to give it down a little bit, but it's picked off by Last Dance. Nicky Dangles with possession, trying to move his way past Tombo. Finds Puanzo. Had a chance there, but couldn't get the shot off. Now Parasite down the opposite end. Benito will dump this in. Puck given chase, found by Ardo. And now over to Vatu behind the net, who tried to make a play in front, but nothing there. The ball. Trying to give it over to Nicky Dangles. Pass in front, hits the post. With another chance, and that time Vincere saves it himself. He'll once again freeze it. 4:55 to go. A couple of opportunities there for Last Dance. That cross crease from Nicky Dangles to Puanzo to hit the post, and then another chance in front. Just saw Vincere make that save on. Face off won by Last Dance in the offensive zone. Lundstrom at the point, looking for space. Shot on, blocked in front by Benito, but Last Dance still pushing. Jamal at the point. For Nicky Dangles, shot saved easily by Vincere. There's a toe drag from Puanzo, disrupted by the Parasite defense. And here they go down the other end. Benito dumps it in, found by Ardo at the left corner. It's a Temu. To Ardo, and Parasite content with letting that clock bleed out as much as they can. 90 seconds to play. Last Dance in the offensive zone, and they need something and fast. Maul with it, turned over. Nice poke check there. Vatu gets it on the pass from Temu. He's not trying to move it forward, but it's turned over. 50 seconds to play. Maul over to Lundstrom. And past the blue line, looking for some space. Pass in front, but nobody there to receive it. As Jamal has it at the point. Looking, poke checked away there. Another great defensive play made by Ardo. 32 seconds to go. As a pass across there from Vatu. Could not hit Temu cleanly. 24 seconds now. Last Dance. Things looking dire for them. With 18 seconds to go, down by 2. They have it in the offensive zone. Lundstrom at the point. Nice job from Ardo, forcing them to go past that blue line, and offside's called. Parasite putting on a defensive clinic in this game. And it looks like it's more than likely going to lead to a victory. 12.6 seconds remaining. And a 2-goal cushion. Matzo with it, shot on from Yamal, saved by Fincere. Buck at the corner, found by Nicky Dangles, passed in front, picked off by Temu. He'll just go back, kill off the rest of the time, and that will do it. Parasite with a 3-1 victory. They let the first goal go, but didn't let another go after that. 3 unanswered goals. Gives them a 2-goal win over Last Dance, and it thickens the plot of the standings even further. And how about the performance from the man on your screen, Ardo? 2 goals, multiple defensive stops. And that was the game winner right there from the pass in front late in the second period, just seconds remaining. And then the breakaway goal to beat Hanselinho. The dagger that gives Parasite this victory. As you see it again right there, the flying poke check attempt. Hanselinho, he has mastered that move over the years, but Ardo knew what was coming and beat him on it cleanly. Parasite. Knock off Last Dance, 3-1 as you get one more look at the stats there. Again, about what you would expect. Everything rather even outside the time on attack. Parasite had about a 3-minute advantage, 9 minutes and 44 seconds, compared to 6 minutes and 46 seconds. Face-off split right down the middle between Eki and Benito. 9-8 shots in favor of Parasite as we bring it back into the booth. Brandon B. Major Bigsby with you. We told you guys it was going to be a fun game, very strategic, always a chess match between these two teams. And it was Ardo who, again, came in as a transfer over the offseason for Bustaculta, gets 2 goals, leads Parasite to a 3-1 victory. Can they do it again, or does Last Dance coordinate a response here in this next game? We'll find out here in just a few moments. Before we do, I'm going to take a short break, hear a word from a few of our sponsors, and get our 4th and final game of our broadcast underway. We will have game number 2 between Last Dance and Parasite. To the break, don't go away. We'll be right back.
Welcome to the SportsGamer Health and Performance Program. Nice to have you here. Here you have a large amount of different workouts from Wellnet, but also material just exclusive for you gamers. In your sessions, we focus mostly on neck and shoulder mobility, back health, and concentration. So give it a try and let us know what you think about it.
Minkä päällä lakukastike maistuu parhaalta? Ei voi tietää, ellei kokeile. Kouvolan lakritsi.
right, thank you for sticking with us. We are back with the fourth and final game of our broadcast coverage here today, and what better way to end off than a Game 2 between Last Dance and Parasite. Once again, we are watching from the perspective of Last Dance. They're wearing their white and black uniforms, while Parasite in their all reds. As Last Dance with a little pep in their step to start out, and Eki puts it in the back of the net, injured and all. How about that? We're setting the table for you, but Last Dance wanted to sit down and eat immediately. A 1-0 score just seconds into this game. As you get a look at the replay, it just kind of trickles in, and I believe Tombo may have accidentally bumped that in from the back of his skate. He was in the blue paint right in front of Fincere there. And it finds its way past that red line, and Eki gets credited for the goal, just putting that shot on net, his 6th goal of the season. Gives Last Dance a lead just a minute in. Parasite one-time shot, and they score! Aro yet again, punch for punch. These two teams starting out with fireworks to start this game too. Parasite saying, whatever you can do, I can do better. 2 goals in a matter of 90 seconds between these two teams. And of course, each of them have one apiece. As we get a look at the replay, the one-timer there from Aro off the post and in. And you can't take away the pass there from Vatu, his fellow winger. A 1-1 game. We said they wasted no time, and, you know, we figured that was just going to be in terms of starting the game. We didn't think we would get 2 goals already. We had a total of 4 in 60 minutes in Game 1. These two teams going back and forth. 1 shot, 1 goal for each side. Parasite trying to find another. That shot goes wide there from Benito. Had a little open net, too. Beating down the boards was Last Dance, but it's turned over and not going to be given chase and found by Parasite in the offensive zone. Nicky Dangles giving it back to Lundstrom, who gets it back to Nicky. Over to Poitso. Nicky taking a big hit there, and will lead to a turnover. Here comes Parasite down the other end. Vatu takes a hit of his own. Finds its way over to Tombo, and now over to Aro. A far away backhand shot saved by Hanselino, who will hold on for the whistle. You see, this game in terms of pacing has been so much different from game number 1. Back and forth, fast-paced, a lot of speed from both sides. The offensive zone face-off, and Parasite forces them to go all the way back and reset. Tombo controlling it with Temu. Tried to move it up to Ardo up the right boards, but it's picked off. Eki gives it over to Yamal, and Nicky Dangles now finds his way with the puck and will reset. And it past the blue line was Lundstrom. Pass in front! Shot from Poitso was saved. Offensive zone face-off coming up here now for Last Dance. See a couple of big hits so far from both sides to start this game. Offensive zone draw won by Parasite. Tombo takes another hit there, and it leads to a turnover. Last Dance dumping in. Found first by Vatu. Tombo will skate this up. Gets it over to Benito, who turns and creates a little bit of space to pass it over to Vatu at the other side boards. Ardo at the point, but not able to keep it from crossing the blue line as an offside's called. 9:51 to go in period number 1, tied at 1. 2 goals in the first 90 seconds of this game. Slowed down just a little bit since in terms of the shots on net, but these two teams as even as ever. As Vatu with it over at the left boards. Gives it over to Teemu for the one-timer. It's wide. Becky controlling it now for last dance. There's Yamal. Stops, pass in front, disrupted, tried to find Puanzo, and now Ardo controls it for Parasite. Makes a move, shot goes wide, was poke check from behind. A nice defensive play there by Last Dance, but Parasite still pressuring. Vatu's shot, able to get all of that. Now Last Dance with an opportunity. Eki up the board, shot on, rebound attempt, another chance from Nicky Dangles, and Sergey was there for it. He denies his former teammate and will hold on for the whistle. An offensive zone face-off coming up here for Last Dance. Tied up in the defensive zone. Won by Parasite, but lost immediately. Shot on. Puck loose. Found by Tombo, who will give it up over to Teemu, and now Parasite get it out of their own end. He gets it over from Vatu. At the boards, pressured from behind, and goes to Teemu at the point. Now to Tombo. To Benito. Back to Tombo, and Benito gets it back. Benito circling around that high left face-off circle. Gives it to Vatu. As Last Dance able to get it out and avoid danger for now. Parasite looking to cross back into that offensive zone. Turned over, however, as Eki picks that pass off, and an offside is going to be called. Nicky Dangles was looking to skate in past the blue line. 2:45 to play in period number 1. Still tied here at 1 apiece. Soft one back to Tombo for Parasite. Moving past the blue line. Benito controls it at the point. Moving with it, puck loose, but found by Puanzo. Nice defensive play from Last Dance in the slot. It's 90 seconds now. Benito with some speed. Gives it across. Turned over. A nice defensive play there made by Lundstrom to disrupt that pass. All with it, the boards battled for between him and Tombo, and it's found by Nicky Dangles behind him. Gives it over, one-time shot from Puanzo was blocked. Eki with a pass, and they score! Nicky Dangles strikes in the late seconds of this period, and Last Dance take a 2-1 lead, 4 seconds remaining. Shades of Parasite of what we saw from them in the second period of game number 1. They give them a little taste of their own medicine. And it's their old friend Nicky Dangles who makes them take it. That's the pass in front, almost a identical play to that goal from Parasite that I'm referring to as well. Nicky Dangles just camped out in front, putting it in the back of the net. And that will do it for the opening frame of our second game. Last Dance, with that late goal with 4 seconds left, take a 2-1 lead after 20 minutes. So we have 2 goals in about 90 seconds, and then nothing for the next 18 and a half minutes to follow that. But Last Dance find their way to that second goal. They take that lead heading into period number 2. As you get another look at it here, it's a nice cycle, that pass in front. Benito looked like he was there for it, but just able to squeeze that pass through to Nicky Dangles, who puts it in the back of the net. You get a look at the stats. A much different looking game from what we saw throughout most of game 1. Last Dance, a little bit more of an emphasis of putting shots on net despite not having much time on attack, while Parasite continuing to just work it in the offensive zone, but not a lot of opportunities to speak of. Remember, the first goal of the game for both teams came on their first shot, so Parasite with just 1 shot on net since that opening goal to start this game. We are now underway for period number 2. Last Dance have possession. Lundstrom looking to break in. Turned over on that pass attempt to Nicky Dangles. A nice pickoff there from Tombo. As an offside is going to be called as he crossed that blue line twice, and you can't do that. 18:48 here to go in period number 2. All Our fourth and final game of coverage here today. We have been treated to some amazing action. We saw ONSE Esports and Mythix earlier on today. ONSE Esports with an upset 3-1 victory to start things out. Mythix followed that up with a 3-2 overtime victory, and these two with a competitive game number 3 is Parasite won 3-1, and Last Dance trying to get a little comeuppance. Couple of chances there. One block, one save by Vincere. Parasite trying to evade the pressure, but not going to do so for long as Nicky Dangles draws a penalty, and a power play coming up now for Last Dance. First time we have seen the special teams make an appearance for either side, as it will be Benito. Call for the tripping call right there, that poke check from behind. As he will head to the box, and now all of a sudden, Last Dance with a 1-goal lead and a man advantage opportunity. Last Dance 35.7% on the power play. Parasite 86.7% on the penalty kill. Both strong in this regard. Last Dance trying to work in the offensive zone, but nothing doing. And here comes Temu down the other end. Or Parasite. Lost that puck, but was able to kill off a little bit of time. Already halfway through that man advantage of Last Dance. In the offensive zone for a moment, but not for long. Yamal with it at the point. Monstrum. Over to Puanzo. Poke checked away. Temu captaining this penalty kill right now for Parasite. As Benito will head out of the box, and we're back to even strength. So an unsuccessful power play for Last Dance, not even as much as a shot on net. A strong Parasite PK flexes its muscle right there. Last Dance in the offensive end, however, and moving this puck around. Shot block in front, picked up by Puanzo at the corner. As the puck finds its way in, it trickled in. Puanzo will get credit for the goal. It wasn't even a shot on net. Puanzo had it at the corner, and it just kind of trickled its way in. Poke check, picked it up. Poke checked again from Benito. Off of the left pad and skate of Vincere, and that is a tough break for Parasite. Gosh, that's got to be a tough pill to swallow. That is no game changer, my friends. But nevertheless, Last Dance, not going to complain. It adds an extra goal on the score sheet for them. A 3-1 lead now as we get close to the halfway mark of this period. As Last Dance maybe not done. Puanzo with Eki. Pass to Nicky Dangles. Shot saved, but scores! A second chance shot from Eki. They're going to wave it off. As they're going to call goaltender interference here. As you see the bump right there from Nicky Dangles off the right pad. Let's see the call. And they're going to call good goal. Eki back on the score sheet yet again. His second goal of the game. And all of a sudden, Last Dance have taken full control. A 4-1 lead. And here they go again. Ronstrom, control. Stop there, blocking that opportunity before he could get it off the stick. Ardo with it at the right side for Parasite, but turned over. Dangles over to Yamal. From behind, and turned over. Tombo picks it up for Parasite as they try to move it up. That's lost, given chase, and won by Ardo. Gives it up to the point to Temu. And Tombo now. Tombo looking for an option, gives it up to Vatu. Shot on was saved by Hanselino. Just Parasite's third shot of the game. They get another shot off, but it's blocked in front before it could find Hanselino. And now Last Dance work down the opposite end. Eki at the right boards, holding it, trying to give it over to Nicky Dangles in front, but it's disrupted and found again by Eki, who had an opportunity there, but the shot did not reach Vincere. Combo with it, turned over, Eki finds it, and gives it to Puanzo, who puts on a move and gives it to Nicky Dangles. Tried to give it back to Puanzo, but lost. Parasite Now set up their breakout. 5.5 minutes to play in period 2. Parasite find themselves in a bit of a bind, down by 3. Had an opportunity, another chance. Angelino, right where he needed to be to make that save. It's 5 minutes to go here in the second period. 3 unanswered goals for Last Dance. It began with just seconds to go in the first period. The Nicky Dangles goal, and then a bit of an odd goal there from ONSE made it 3-1, and the Necky's goal made it 4-1 as Parasite trying to claw their way back. They have possession here once again. Batu at the board. Shot on, saved from Hanselino. Puck still in front of him. And found by Benito. Full pressure now for Parasite. This one holds it. Goes up to Nicky Dangles. Stops. Will create some separation, but Parasite not giving him the space needed, so a reset. Last Dance, no pressure to try to force their way up the ice. They have a 3-goal lead, and time is their friend. Dangles gets it on the pass from Lundstrom. Moves it back to Lundstrom. Finds Puanzo. Shot blocked in front by Ardo. And now he moves his way up with some help. Vatu controlling it. This is up to Tombo at the point. Tombo gets it up to Vatu. One-time shot saved by Hanselino. And that will end period number 2. It was all Last Dance there through that 20 minutes. A pair of goals. They extend their lead to 3. Parasite looking for any sort of momentum to get on their side. They had some opportunities there towards the end of that second period, but no goals to speak of. And that second chance shot from Eki, it was reviewed for a potential goaltender interference, but the officials deem it good. Gives Last Dance that 3-goal advantage, and you see the stats a little bit more evened out now. Parasite getting more shots. Last Dance only a pair of shots there in that second period, but both for goals, so what does it matter, right? I'm attack in favor of Parasite by about 1.5 minutes. And now in a position where they're going to have to try to claw their way back in a quick hurry, down by 3 with just 1 period remaining. See if they can get it done as Eki and Benito meet. We face off. We're underway for period number 3. We want to once again thank our sponsors, Corbin on Lock It at Sea, Game Changer, and WellNet for their support. And Yamal thanks you guys as well, and thanks them in the way of a goal. 5-1 the score. Yamal's 3rd goal of the season. Picks the top right corner off the post and into the back of the net. As it has been all Last Dance throughout this game. What a response after the 3-1 loss in the first matchup. They are taking this game and running home with it right now. They have possession once again in the neutral zone. Yamal. It's a pass to blue line. Finds Puanzo. Scores! Last Dance is pouring it off Parasite right now. It is a 6-1 score. 2 goals in 90 seconds for Last Dance to open the 3rd period. And I can't remember the last time we've seen Parasite in this sort of situation to where they are just getting trounced in every way possible. And it's not really indicative of the scoreline of this game. Again, you looked at the stats right before the period started. It's been rather close. But Last Dance with 6 goals on 9 shots, and they have a full chokehold on this game, and they might not be done. ONSE got the pass from Nicky Dangles, but it was disrupted by Tambu and company, and here comes Parasite down the other end. Batu tried to pass it in, but disrupted by Last Dance, and Parasite will have to try it again here. Tambu, the pass from Batu, Looking up, and here comes Nicky Dangles with some speed. Nice little move to try to get past Tombo, but he couldn't keep the puck with him. Parasite will go down the opposite end. Two at the boards. The Tombo skating forward with a chance. Shot goes wide as it looked like it hit off of the skate. The Last Dance defender. Tamu controlling it for Parasite. The right boards with some speed in a hurry. The pass in front. Disrupted. Parasite still pushing. Tamu at the corner. Gives up to Tombo at the point. Over to Vatu one time. Doesn't even get the shot off. Heck, he tried to get it to Puanso. Would have been a breakaway if that pass went off cleanly, but it was picked off. But here's another chance here, and it's Puanso with speed. Behind the net, wraparound attempt. Won't get on net. Nice little creativity there from Puanso. The IQ, one of the smartest players you'll find in the ECL. Showed it off a little bit right there. Nicky Dangles puts on a move. Goes back to Puanso. Holding it. Still has it, but is bumped off finally by Benito. 10 minutes to go here in regulation, and likely the game. 6-1 lead. For Last Dance here in the third period. They have possession now. 3-on-2 pass in front. The Eki shot hits the post. Nicky Dangles with a wraparound hits the post again. As Vincere will play this out. He doesn't want to waste any more time. Vatu with it, makes a move, trying to find something, but poke check from behind by Yamal, and Hanselino plays it out. Puck loose by the right post, trying to find it as Hanselino finally does and plays it out again. I think that's more or less just these two teams wanting to keep that clock moving. Has a shot on, and he scores! Puanso! Backhands it in off the post. The hat-trick goal for the wily veteran. His 4th goal of the series, his 22nd on the season. And Last Dance, they are dancing on the grave of Parasite right now. A 7-1 lead in the third period. And a game and a series that has been so close for so long, and I don't think anyone expected a blowout for either side. As another chance here for Last Dance. Nicky Dangles bumped from behind, and it'll lead to a turnover. Parasite down the other end. Batu with it, looking, gives it over to Tamu, whose shot is saved by Hanselino. And he'll freeze it that time. Good effort so far for Hanselino today. 9 saves on 10 shots in this game. Face off. One in the defensive zone by Last Dance. As Nicky Dangles trying to work his way past the defender. Gives it to Lundstrom. Back to Nicky. Turned over on that third pass attempt. Benito was the one to get it. And offside's called for another stoppage. 3:48 to play. So these two teams look like they're going to split 3 points apiece, and I think that's probably what many would have felt likely would have happened coming into this series, that they would more than likely take one from each other. That's how these typically tend to go, but no one saw a 7-1 shellacking coming. And again, to be fair to Parasite, this game, the final score is not going to be indicative of the way this game went. Parasite just simply took advantage of every opportunity that was given to them while not being able to match it with goals on the other end. But give Last Dance all the credit in the world. They have created opportunities. They have taken advantage of them. Vincere, who again came in with just phenomenal numbers, an 87.8 save percentage in 4 games played. He is not even at the 50% save percentage mark so far, and there's just 2 minutes remaining in this game. Nito controls it, try to give it over to Vatu, a tripping penalty going to be called. The way Parasite power play coming up is heading to the box will be Yamal the man. often we get to hear what the fans think in games. So that was kind of fun to listen to. But nevertheless, Parasite on the man advantage. Last Dance. We can just ride this one home. Have to do it without their right defender. Let's Parasite find a goal here. Nito trying to make a move, but was stifled. Last Dance will clear this out. 50 seconds to go. Offside called as Parasite not able to break it in cleanly. 46.6 seconds remaining. And once again, we talked about how this series is one that has been viewed as a potential championship preview coming into today. Last Dance and Parasite, the two favorites coming in. Obviously, Parasite being defending champions, and they score. Temu beats Consolino. Fifth goal of the season for Temu, and hey, it still means something. There's tiebreakers at the end of the season, and goal differential, goals allowed, things of that nature mean something. So Temu, over that left shoulder of Hanselino, lightens the blow just a tad for Parasite on the power play. Like we were saying, this is a series that would not be surprising if we see these two meet for a best of 7. And we're gonna get a fight. We have not seen this in forever in the ECL. It's Vatu versus Nicky Dangles, the former wingers and the former teammates. And we're gonna have fun with this, folks. Nicky with a nice blow at the right hand, a nice block. He blocks him again. Vatu with a nice punch. They're going back and forth. And it's going to be fun to see who takes this one. We don't see fights in the Elite Division, folks. Has a nice blow, and he's going to take him down and put him to the ground. And Nikke will get the better of Vatu on that fight. Would have maybe liked to have seen a few more punches connect. But nevertheless, that is a lot of fun to see between two teammates that were probably the best winger duo that we've ever seen in the ECL. We mentioned the record-breaking season that Vatu had a season ago. Put together a 129-point season that included 71 goals. That's both a record in the ECL as a goal for Aro, a replacement of Nicky Dangles. And Parasite with 2 goals here to leave that one. Even the Compy with an assist, along with Benito. It's a nice move there from Ardo to put that one in, but again, we talked a little bit about the history there between Vatu and Nicky Dangles, all in good fun there, obviously. Vatu with that record-breaking season, Nicky Dangles was the peanut butter to his jelly. He had a 96-point season with 58 assists, pairing with Vatu last season. We got to see him throw hands there. Maybe not a lot of hands being thrown, but a little bit of back and forth that led to a little wrestling at the end. But nevertheless, 18 seconds to play. As Eki controls it, dumps it in. As Last Dance, maybe looking for one more opportunity or a goal here. Eki will be bumped off of that puck. And we're going to get one more stoppage, a penalty. Going to be called, penalty called against Temu right there at the end. Are we going to maybe get one more fight? I'm not encouraging anything. I'm not an instigator. That's not my role. That's all I'm saying. Maybe a line brawl. I'm asking for too much now. I'm not going to lie. But nevertheless, Consolino going to go ahead and pull. 1.1 seconds remaining. And that will do it. Final buzzer sounds. Last Dance with a dominant 7-3 victory over Parasite. They'll split the series at 3 points apiece. And what a strong response from Last Dance after falling 3-1 in that first game. Last Dance with just a mauling between the second and third periods. to really take over this game and give Parasite little to no chance of coming back. Give Parasite some credit. They got a couple of goals there at the end. One from Tamu, one from Aro, but well short of any real comeback effort as Last Dance take the victory. 7-3 over Parasite in this one, and we'll get a look at the standings here in a few minutes and break down how everything has kind of changed and shifted and how those two results impact things. As remember, Last Dance came in ahead of Parasite in the standings, and with both of them getting the same amount of points, they'll have the same gap in terms of the points. As you get one more final look there at the stats from that game. Again, I just don't feel like the final score release kind of shows you what Parasite was able to do. Definitely not Parasite's best game by any stretch of the imagination. I think they tell you that themselves. And Last Dance, definitely the deserving team to win, but glad it wasn't a 7-1 blowout. It was a bit closer than a 6-goal deficit. So Parasite able to get 2 goals late. But it's Last Dance taking the all-important victory 7-3 as we bring it back into the booth. Brandon B. Major Bigsby with you as, again, really, really fun broadcasts here today. We had the 2 games earlier between ONSE Esports and Mythix. ONSE Esports taking 4 points against the number 1 team heading into today. And then, as we just saw, Parasite and Last Dance splitting their series evenly at 3 points apiece. As before we sign off, we want to take care of a few things. We got a few things to share with you, including the standings, to give you a look at how everything has changed as we head into the weekend. And as you can see, it's a new number 1, Musta Kulta, passing Mythix with the same amount of games played, 35 points compared to 34 for Mythix. So a new number 1 now in the standings, Musta Kulta, who have played in a few series, obviously, today. They were not even close to that number 1 spot just a few days ago. They started the week out at around number 8 or 9. But all of a sudden, they get a few wins, they get things rolling a little bit, and they find themselves at the top of the Elite Division table. As we mentioned, Last Dance and Parasite. Last Dance's victory not in the standings just as of yet, so they'll move up to 33 points and be just 2 points outside of Musta Kulta, 1 point shy of Mythix. But remember, they do have the 2 games in hand, so that's something to keep an eye on. Parasite right behind them. And you take a look at the rest of things, V-Nexus all the way moving up. They were on the right side of the board starting today. They get a few victories here today to move into the playoffs. Exen moving into the top 8. SSK holding on strong despite not playing today from the looks of it. And on the right side of the board, Toturi, the number 2 team in the standings, a semifinalist from a season ago, not in the playoffs if things were to start out today. And they're 16 games in, over halfway through their season. Haimo, who got off to the hot start, have cooled off. Polsky boys trying to work their way into the playoffs for the first time, their 4th season in the Elite Division. And then the story of earlier, ONSE Esports, who got 4 points, and it seems like that's going to be rather critical of how tight this standings race is. If you go from 6 all the way down to 12, only 4 points separate all of those 6 teams. So a lot to shake out. There will be some games, I'm sure, going on tomorrow. We will not be on broadcast for it, but nevertheless, a lot to shake out, a lot to happen here over the next few days. And obviously, when we're back with you guys on Monday, we'll give you the breakdown of how everything has changed. And what will we be covering Monday? 2 fresh series for you. SSK Esports versus V-Nexus, 2 of those teams that are over on the left side of that board in the top 8. We'll have Haimo going up against Blackbirds. We will be starting our coverage at 1945 CEST right here at twitch.tv/SportsGamerGG. You can also find us live on our X at SportsGamerGG or on YouTube at SportsGamerGG. I'll be right back here with you on the call for both of those 2 series. 2 really fun series between 4 teams that are all in that thick playoff race that we were just alluding to. SSK Esports versus V-Nexus, Haimo versus Blackbirds. You're not going to want to miss it, so make sure you join us here on Monday, April 28th for that at 1945 CEST for my fellow North Americans. That's 1:45 Eastern Standard Time. So make sure you're right back with us here in 5 days for both of those series. as we will bring it back into the studio one final time. A big thank you to everyone for tuning in today. We had 4 awesome games, 2 great series. Last Dance, obviously, with that dominant exclamation point with that 7-3 victory, but we got to see a lot shift throughout the Elite Division today, so it's going to be a lot of fun to see how things change between now and Monday. Before we go, I want to make sure we thank our sponsors, COVID Unlocked, Game Changer, and WellNet for their support. What we do would not be possible without them. Make sure you guys go support them the way they support us. Check out their website, check out their products. They all have amazing things to offer, even some great products being offered on discounts from both Game Changer and WellNet, a free trial being offered even from WellNet. So make sure you go check them out. We have links to that throughout our Twitch chat if you're on there. A big thank you to everyone at SportsGamer GG, including the staff that make things run. And a thank you to Chris Ryan, our producer, making everything run on this broadcast behind the scenes. For all of them, my name is Brandon Bigsby. Thank you all for tuning in. We'll see you right back here on Monday. Thank you all for watching, and have a great rest of your week, everybody.
Welcome to the SportsGamer Health and Performance Program. Nice to have you here. Here you have a large amount of different workouts from WellNet, but also material just exclusive for you gamers. In your sessions, we focus mostly on neck and shoulder mobility, back health, and concentration. So give it a try and let us know what you think about it.